President Trump. Do we love him or do we hate him? Is he a hero or is he a villain? Chances are, if you're listening to this video, you're holding a strong opinion about one way or the other. And polarizing figures like President Trump, they stir very strong emotions within us, and they make it very hard to stay objective. But just stick with this video, because there's something very important that I need to say, because when we don't stay objective, we miss out on seeing the whole picture. We just are looking for evidence that supports the way that we think so that we can influence others to think like us. Have you ever been in a room where two people, more than two people, have got views about President Trump being one way and the others have been this way, and it's just people shouting at each other trying to convince the other person that they're right? I have. This happened to us in our family on Christmas Day, actually. Anybody's opinion actually changed or shifted? No, they still stay the same. Half of them still believe that President Trump's evil, and the other half believe that he is a hero. And so why do we need to label someone as a hero or a villain? What if they are neither? Because what happens when we judge people via extremes is that we miss out on something. If we see them as a hero and we put them on a pedestal, what actually happens is that we will get disappointed. Something will happen, some human element will come out and it will disappoint us. And we'll think, oh, he's not how I actually thought he would be. This actually happened to me back 15 years ago now, when I first did my hypnotherapy training. I traveled to this particular training and I respected the leaders who were giving the training. And I was in shock when during the break, I walked outside and the trainer was actually smoking. Now, you can understand this is a hypnotherapy training where we help our clients stop smoking. What I couldn't grasp in my head as I watched this scene of her smoking was that not long before, she was actually saying to the whole group that she would never eat aeroplane food because of all the chemicals and all the rubbish in aeroplane food. She takes her own food in all aeroplanes, and yet she's smoking. And this scene was like, oh, she's not the person I thought she was. She just went crumbling down her pedestal. Not because she's a smoker and smokers are bad, but because suddenly the vision that I had of her wasn't accurate. And of course it's not accurate, because she's human. Same with President Trump. He is human. He will make decisions that you're going to think, that's not really unifying. That doesn't feel like it's a good thing, or he may do something else. I don't know. But we need to stop putting these people on pedestals, because we will be disappointed. And there's another side to this. And the other side is, if we vilify people and they're villains and they're bad, we miss out on the opportunity of, well, what's the value that this person's providing? Because there is value if we just open up our eyes and see it. Every position that he's holding, every policy that he's putting into place is not bad. So what's the value that he's actually doing? What's the value of having a leader like President Trump in a country like the United States right now? Because I have this belief that everything is always happening for our greatest good, even if it doesn't look like it. And what I can see is that there's change happening now on the world stage, and this is much needed change. Now, are all the decisions going to be good? No. Are all the decisions going to be bad? No. But what we need to recognize is that there has been a collective agreement for change. Change is very messy. There's always a fallout. Whenever we have any change, if you've worked in a company where they've changed ownership or they've let go of staff, all the decisions that have happened are not necessarily appearing to be good in that moment. But this kind of messiness actually happens when there is change. And so we need to understand would be a position of neutrality, a balanced perspective, where we don't have to agree with everything that someone is doing, but we don't have to dismiss everything that someone is doing. We can be discerning and open-minded at the same time. So my invitation to you is, because this really isn't about President Trump, this is about what he represents, which is how we react to certain people. because how we react to President Trump is how we're going to react to our family, our friends, the people in our lives. So do we remain open and neutral, which means that people are allowed to have their opinions, and when somebody does something, it doesn't mean they're bad. If you've heard that your friend has had an affair, it doesn't mean she's a bad person. It just means that she made a decision at that time that wasn't of the highest integrity. That doesn't mean that every single decision she makes is of the lowest integrity. It just means that she's human. We need to really find our center, because more things will pop up in the world stage by many different leaders that we will either dislike or like. And what we need to do is not put them on a pedestal, but not make them out like they're the biggest villain on earth either, because everybody is human. And so by doing that with world leaders, what we're encouraging is openness and discernment, because when we cling to rigid opinions, we close ourselves off to learning and evolving. So what it means is we don't have to agree with everything, but we can consider multiple perspectives at the same time. And so my question to you is, do you really see the full picture? Are you clinging to a label? Are you clinging to the hero or the villain? Or are you being open to, yeah, I don't agree with that particular decision, but this one seems okay? So what happens if you step back and look at the bigger picture? What am I learning from this situation? And when you do that, you have this calmness inside of you rather than this anger. So instead of immediately reacting, take a moment to ask yourself, what's the intention behind this, and what am I learning from this? What am I learning from this? And as you learn to be less reactive and more in the moment and more accepting of the moment, you will find that anger is not going to come up for you. Suffering is not going to come up for you. And so just take a moment to accept that everything that's playing out on the world stage at this very moment is supposed to be playing out. This change is supposed to be happening. It's not going to be all good. It's not going to be all bad. But we're all moving forward in some way, and we're all learning. So take away the labels of good and bad, and it is what it is. It doesn't mean we close our eyes and accept everything, but let's open our eyes to everything rather than having such a black and white approach to leaders, to family, to friends. I'd love to hear your opinion on this video. Please subscribe and let me know. Sending you so much love, so much love.